We got another 4 or 5 inches of snow last night. Still haven't got my snowblower fixed yet. Wrong part again. And it won't be till next week till I get the part, but this is supposed to be all melted by next Wednesday or Thursday. Anyways, time to make videos. Just got a light plastic roof there. It's kind of bowing a little bit. That's heavy snow on there. I had to shovel the driveway off first before I can get going here. Turn that down so YouTube doesn't shut it off. Okay, got lots of things going on today. Got some parts in. That I believe is the LED bulbs for the Speedo intact. There they are there. They're really flat little bulbs. They're going to work perfect. So we're going to do that later today. Try it out tonight. And then my snowblower part still didn't come in yet, so I got that in a million pieces here too. And here, the new valve springs. So first I want to compare the lengths of these to the old ones. You know, just make sure there's a substantial difference there, or they're within specs. That's what I'm going to do first. Here's the specs for the outer spring. So it's 41.1 pretty much. And my old springs are, that one's about 39.5. I know some of them are like 39. And this is the new spring. And just to show you the difference there. Trying to do it. I can't do it with my left hand. I'm a righty. It's about 41 anyway, or it's what's that say there? 41, almost 42, 41.9. So well within specs there. So that's the difference of the old ones and new ones. And here's the inner spring. The inner spring is, it's like 36.3, and the inner spring is supposed to be 37.6. Well, wait a second here. Bear with me. Trying to do it with one hand. Stupid. But you can hear me. Just listen. Put that on there. There we go. Okay. That is 35, 6, 7, 8, 38.3. 38.3. It's supposed to be 37.642. So the new ones are much better. I'm having problems downloading these videos. I have to do it through Wi-Fi, and what happens is I'm getting a grainier image. It's not as high def. Before I was plugging my phone directly into the computer, and I was getting high definition videos, but the receptacle on my phone is worn out. It'll charge, but it won't let me download pictures or videos or anything, so I'm going to have to do it through the Wi-Fi until I get a new phone, hopefully in the new year. Okay, so that's right with the valve springs. Okay, I can put the two exhaust sides back together today. I don't have the intake valves in yet. If I did, I'd have this all done today and bolted on the engine. I just can't wait to get it done. But I do have the two exhaust valves, and they measure within specs. The intake valves were marginal, and with the new ones coming, I'm going to gain 1.7 to 1.9 thou tighter tolerances in the valve guide. When I put the new valve guides in on the intake, they just felt a little sloppier than the exhaust, and I measured them, and they're They just exceed their limits, but with the new valves, they'll be well within their specs. So that's why I'm waiting for two new intake valves. But in the meantime, I'm going to put the rocker back in, the springs, spring cover, and we're going to start that right now. This will work up here, I'm hoping. Okay. I put the valve seal on here first, and like in my previous videos showed, on the exhaust guide there isn't a ridge to lock the valve seal in, and I know a lot of people don't even run an exhaust seal on the exhaust valve guide, but I put a little dab of oil, just a touch on the edge of that seal, and pressed it on there, and it's on there pretty tight. I think it's going to hold. If it ever does come loose, you know, it's just going to float in there. It's not going to do any damage, but it just won't perform its job there, stopping the oil from running down the guide. But it's on there tight, so I think it's going to work. I put a little assembly lube on the valve stem before I pushed it in there. A little bit of this stuff. And now I'm ready to put the valve springs on. The first thing you put on is the spring washer at the bottom, but there's a little insulating block, carbon fiber block here at the bottom of that. This is the original one. It's still attached on, it's baked on there. My new gasket kit didn't come with new ones, but I'm just going to reuse that. It'll work fine. So that goes on first. Inner spring, outer spring, and then the top spring. Oh, let me just check one thing here. One thing. Some valve springs are tighter wound at the bottom than they are at the top. They're progressively wound. The progressive springs, most motorcycles today, they're all progressive. And you always put the tighter wound part of the spring at the base, so it's carrying less weight on the top, less centrifugal waste. So these look to be very evenly spaced. Yeah, they look identical, so I'm going to put them on like that. Put that in there like that. And get my valve spring compressor. Got my valve spring compressor all set on there. Took a little while to get it to adjust just to the right compression. And I should lock it so I can use it for everyone the same. But now I take my little, I always keep a little magnet handy. Little magnet, little screwdriver. And this is synthetic grease. A little bit of red synthetic grease. And I put it on the valve keeper on the inside. And then try to, sometimes this takes several tries without dropping it. Like that. It's easier if I had this thing up the other way. Try to do it this way so you can see, but I might have to turn it up. Get in there. Take the other one. The grease just kind of holds it in place until you can get it, the spring released. I got big fingers. I think I got that one in there. Can't really see the other one. Always wear safety glasses at this point. This thing shoots out and shoots those keepers off, which I'll probably lose in my garage. But I'll try to release this slowly. I think I lost one. I think one fell out. Yeah, I think I lost one keeper. Let's see here. I heard one keeper pop out. There it is right there. A little bit more grease on that one. If you do this every day, you really get the feel for it, and it's not too difficult. But I haven't done this Mother, just dropped that sucker again. I got big fingers to get in there. Fuck. This is where the magnet comes in handy. There we go. Put that like that. Nope. Sucker fell out again. Pretty sure it did. There it is. You gotta be like a surgeon. Come on. Shouldn't be this difficult. Just haven't done it in a while. No, I got one in there, but we're gonna set this depth a little bit deeper. Let's try that. Better window there. Now I got the one that was in there sticking to the magnet. It's got to be pretty close there. Well, I got the two exhaust springs and locking tabs in there on the valves, and it's difficult to get in because these these valves protrude a long way, so you got to really compress the spring to get it in there. Anyways, I'm ready to put the follower in and the shaft in. There's a spring that sits on the inside with a thrust washer on the outside. Here's my old shaft covers here, the follower shaft covers. So I'm going to clean them all up right now first before I go any farther. Now, this will look like before. Here's just polish it up, and just going to put the new gaskets on and get that all ready to go. Before I put the follower shafts back in, you can see they're all kind of tarnished up and probably gummed up a little bit, and there's a little bit of fine grooves in it, so I'm going to use that 1000 grit paper and just wet sand it up a little bit. Want them to slide in as easily as possible. They were hard to get out. I got the, this is the tool for pulling out the rocker shafts, and they were hard getting out. They're really varnished in there. So we'll clean it up as best we can to make it go in easier. You see that takes the tarnish right off it. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of assembly lube on this. and on the inside of the rocker, and then heat this all up with my heat gun and get ready to press it in. Before you put this together, you want to make sure that all these oil holes, there's another one inside the center of the shaft, make sure they're all clear. So I'm going to blow through the center of the shaft, and you should see it come out at the end there where the push rod goes. See it squirting out there, so you know that one's clear. And do that to all of them before you put it together. Same with the rocker shafts, where the oil feeds into the end of the shaft and comes out here where the follower runs. You want to make sure that hole is clear as well too, so you can stick a straw in either end there, and I'll do it this way. Make sure all the shafts are clear before you put it back together. When reassembling the rocker shaft and rocker, on the push rod side of the rocker, that's where the oil inlet hole is, because the oil is fed through the end of the push rod through the rocker shaft. So when you put the shaft in, there's a square slot in the rocker shaft, and you want that to be on that oil side, on the push rod side. So it allows oil to fill this cavity in here, and then as it rocks back and forth, it allows to lubricate the thing. Now I don't know if it'll work the other way or not, but to me that, I don't see it in the manual, but to me that makes sense. That the slot goes towards the push rod side, because that's where the hole is in the back of the rocker. I tap that until that's about flush. Make sure the rocker's spinning freely. The thrust spring is always on the inside, thrust washer on the outside. Oh, very porous casting here. I can see the threads on the top in there. Huh. This side's not like that. This one here, very porous casting. Okay, got those two back together. I'm using the 518 Loctite to seal the covers. So this oil pressure feed line right here feeds the top end, feeds both rocker shafts, and there's two sets of gaskets on the rocker cover here. You want this to be a perfect seal. It's actually going to be high pressure right here, and the little slots allows the oil from the inside journal to come in and then pressurize that shaft. And by pressurizing that shaft, it blows it out that hole where the slot is, down into the top of the push rod, and lubricates the shaft at the same time. So it's very important to have this shaft lined up properly, and that's why there's little set plates here in the inner cover to locate that. If this isn't located properly, you won't get oil pressure to your shaft, and you'll wear your shaft out. Learning as I go. Got the two exhaust valves in. Got two exhaust valve seals on those guides without the little cutaway to lock the seal in. They seem to hold real tight. Got the rocker shafts in, the rockers in. Most important thing I learned there was that shaft that goes, I guess like in the diagram in my manual, there's two different types of shafts. There's a shaft with a spiral in it to allow the oil to get all the way around the inside of the follower. My shaft doesn't have that. My shaft's got a cutaway on the back, and I believe that cutaway has to be at the back position where the push rod is, because that's where the oil outlet hole is to the push rod. to the end of the push rod, which oils the top of the push rod, and the oil runs down. If the cutaway was on this side and the oil is getting on this side, it's going to get very little oil on the other side. So that cutaway has to be at the back where the push rod is. I learned that today, and if I turn these followers up, I can still put the valves in. So now I can put the followers in on the other side, get them all capped up and done, and then I just have to put the 2 intake valves in when they come in. So I'm going to work on that today too, get the 2 back followers in. And you can see here what I was talking about in an earlier video, the position of the, oh, it's hard to look in here and do it, the position of the adjuster on the end of the valve. You know, if this valve set up higher and higher and higher and higher, changes the geometry, and it'll wear your valve irregularly, everything to cause damage. And even as it sits now, it's not good. So as this valve goes down, the adjuster will come across the top of the valve stem. So when I get I'm going to loosen these right off before I put it together. But when I get the push rods in, get the head bolted on, we're going to have a look at the angle of this. There's a new type of push rod adjuster you can buy, and it's called a mushroom adjuster, and it's got a big flat round head on the bottom of it, so it causes less damage and less stress to everything, and probably works a little bit better. You know, that's another option. Go buy 4 of those type of adjusters. Anyways, we'll look at that next video. Done for today.